I don't think I know enough to comment. I mean, I've researched as much as I've been able to after having them, and I've decided not to. But I think it's...
But not knowing enough. Is that good enough?
No, well, I think it's personal choice, and I think fair enough, that's great. But personally, I've chosen not to.
I just want to go quickly, if I may, to Tony and David McCaffrey. Now, they weren't very comfortable about coming here tonight because after our story last week, they were inundated with hate mail from those who don't believe in vaccination. A number of the people, Ms. Dorey, were from your network. And after having lost your 4-week-old daughter, Dana, what sort of things were said to you?
Oh, look, it's ranged, you know, all sorts of things. People saying, you know, how can you force people to put chicken blood into their child, to being sent the AVN's newsletter, to... Oh.
A 91-year-old grandmother claiming that it's wrong, that she witnessed such terrible things 50 years ago.
That by speaking out we're going to kill more children.
I am very sorry if anyone sent you anything that was hurtful in any way. I did receive an awful lot of emails from our members who said that they feel terrible about Dana's death, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, and that it was a tragedy. But why is it that a child who dies from a disease becomes front-page news when the children who die from vaccines are invisible and discounted? All children are important.
But there is no... Believe me, if there was an ounce of proof of children dying from vaccines, I'm
Mike,
sure Professor and Dr. Cook would know that.
I sent your studio about 30 mainstream medical journal reports.
And yet you couldn't bring one case here today.
Obviously, children get ill, children die, and it's very tragic whenever that happens. And it's often, particularly something like autism, where we really don't know what causes it. It's always very tempting to look for any cause, and vaccines is an easy target. But all I can say is that when these things have been looked at scientifically and the risk of something happening with a vaccine versus without a vaccine has been compared, there's never been any scientific proof that there's a difference.
And your medical qualifications are?
My medical qualifications are that I have studied this issue for 20 years, and I have asked for a live debate. I am not a doctor, but I have a brain, and I don't think you need an MD to have a brain.
Fair enough. This young lady here?
I have an 8.5-month-old daughter, and I couldn't put her in childcare if she wasn't vaccinated. And looking at... Hang on, can I just finish? Can I just finish what I'm about to say? If you're looking at this from a child protection point of view, I actually work in welfare. We're putting a child can be reported for neglect if their health is at risk, if they're not clothed, if they're not fed properly. We're putting our kids at risk by not vaccinating them.
I'm a mother of 3, and my decision came out because I had done no reading, as most people don't, on vaccination, and I was given a consent form for hepatitis B for my baby about to be born, and I said, why is hepatitis B being given to newborns? I didn't get a hepatitis B injection until I went hiking in Irian-Jaya, so I was a bit confused, and I said, I need time to think about it. So I just didn't do the first one, and then I started reading, and I found out that, you know what, parents don't know that there are risks, yes, of catching the disease, but there are also risks of getting vaccinated, and there's serious, serious adverse reactions. Whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you can still carry and transmit the disease. Am I correct?
No.
Yes.
Professor, you're saying no?
No, I'm saying, I mean, on the one hand, there is no vaccine that's 100% effective and 100% safe.
But that's the point.
It doesn't like that.
As an Australian parent, we need to know that they're not 100% safe. And I'm not going to blindly walk into my GP and say, you know what, stick whatever you want in his arm, because I need to know that there are, before I can make an informed decision, I need to know what are the risks of the diseases and what are the risks of the vaccines, and I make a choice as that person's parent what I think is best for my child. And I respect anyone who's done all the research and they feel that the best thing for their child is to vaccinate. I totally respect that. The problem is parents aren't researching it. The information isn't out there.
Well, the information is there, and the trouble is that a lot of the information that parents see is the sort of information that Meryl's group is providing, and it's totally biased.
Please.
what the professor said about bias, what I'd like to know is how much money do you make from the government, from the general practice immunisation incentive scheme? How much money do you get per child who's vaccinated on time from the government?
None. Oh. Me personally, but clearly, general practitioners do receive some funding from the government for giving vaccinations, but that's simply part of the cost that they incur in running their practices.
Doesn't that make you a vested interest then? So are doctors really vaccinating because they believe in it, or are they being vaccinated because they're being bribed to?
I personally find it so insulting to be paid an incentive payment to deliver any sort of medical care. You'd have to be suspicious of the motives, or someone would have to pay a doctor. And there is evidence now that doctors are discriminating against patients who are unvaccinated and withdrawing help and medical assistance to those who are unvaccinated. I have received no financial incentive in my practice and will never.
Can I just go to the McCaffreys? Yeah, Tony, you want to say something?
I'd just like to say that I respect everyone's opinion, and I also do respect that parents have a choice. And I think that the range of opinions being expressed here is why the government needs to do a proper education campaign. The government needs to educate parents of both sides. They need to properly educate people. After I saw what my daughter, she had the most agonising death. And I would do everything in my power to protect her.
OK. And both sides... We have agreement there from both sides of this argument here, which is beautifully spoken, thank you. If I can just close it down there, thanks very much all for joining us in this debate tonight. We do sincerely hope that we've given parents out there a lot more information to deal with this